Did Malaysian officials give any more information about just how large the search area has become now?
Well, they've expanded the search area several times. Now they are looking not just in the Gulf of Thailand and the northern reaches in that section of the South China Sea, but also in the Andaman Sea to the west of the Malaysian peninsula around the Straits of Malacca. So that whole area, including over land mass, is being searched by planes, scores of planes, vessels from 10 different countries, including a U.S. missile destroyer is in that region trying to use any modern technology necessary. There's been, as I said, a number of false leads over the weekend into today when planes spotted something, here a bit of debris, there a yellow object, oil slick. All of them at this stage have turned out to be false leads in terms of where this plane ended up. There are instances like this, though, when planes do vanish and it takes a great deal of time to figure out where they ended up. So there are many theories right now, none of them conclusive, of course, and authorities are not ruling out anything at this point.
All right, David McKenzie live for Beijing, where the families wait and continue to hope. And now, as we've been reporting, investigators have now expanded the search area, as you just heard there from David. Our Mari Ramos is at the CNN World Weather Center to map out the region that they are now scouring. I know this is really, really difficult. It's hard to get your mind around how they actually go about doing this because the ocean is such a vast place, Mari.
Yeah, we really are talking about a huge area here. And this map that you see here behind me, or this picture, I should say, is from the press conference earlier from Malaysia Airlines. And I want to show you a couple of things. First of all, right here you see the peninsula area. This landmass that you see right there, that would be Sumatra, and this is the Andaman Sea. The areas that you see highlighted in the white are areas where the search is already ongoing. Remember, they expanded it into the Andaman Sea. The areas that you see in red with those little hashes going all the way around, those are the areas that have been expanded now to include other parts of the Andaman Sea. But if you look back over here, you see these letters, A, B, C, and D. These are the sectors that they're going through, scouring those areas by land and by sea and by air through ships, helicopters, those Navy ships, and of course the helicopters that are going through this area and the planes searching these grid areas, so to speak, so they're able to find what they're looking for. Hopefully, they have areas over land as well, and then this area here toward the east also being expanded. And I want you to think about this for a second. The area that you see highlighted here is about the size of the country of Spain. So this is a huge, huge area, almost half, 500,000 square kilometers of area that they're searching on. So we're talking about a huge, huge undertaking here, Sarah. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mari Ramos from the CNN World Weather Center. So right now, all anyone can really do is speculate, or at least take an educated guess, and that includes seasoned experts who've been speaking to the media since the jetliner went missing. Mary Schiavo served as Inspector General for the U.S. Department of Transportation and wrote a book on air safety.
If the plane broke apart midair, whether it be from an explosion or from something mechanical, losing control or losing a structural member, then you would expect to see a very wide debris field. If the plane entered the water intact, then usually it breaks up upon hitting the water. The water is, is actually not very forgiving. It breaks apart. It is theoretically possible that the plane entered the water intact. There have been rare pictures of planes that they have found underwater intact. That's very rare.
And that was Mary Schiavo, an former Inspector General for the U.S. Department of Transportation. Now, hanging over all of this is the fact that two of the passengers were traveling with stolen passports. Officials talked about that aspect of the investigation in their media briefing today. Our senior international correspondent, Nick Robertson, is joining us now from CNN London. Nick, what do we know about the two people that were traveling on those stolen passports at this point?
Well, I guess we're beginning to close in on their identities a little bit. There had been speculation earlier that these men traveling, one on an Italian, one on an Austrian passport, were of Asian origin. Now, this has been discounted now by Malaysia's civil aviation chief. He says that is not the case. He wouldn't be specific on precisely what nationality these men were, but when pushed on it, he alluded to an Italian football player, Mario Balotelli, saying that, indicating that perhaps he was sort of African origin. This is what he said.
Do you know a footballer by the name of Bartoli? He's an Italian. Do you know how he looks like? Bartoli. 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 Barotelli. Barotelli. Yes. Nationalities. Okay, I don't want to dwell about it, but they are not Asian looking.
So a clear indication that the authorities have some idea, and most probably they've been able to gain this information through closed-circuit television footage as these men pass through Kuala Lumpur Airport. What we also now know from the aviation chief is that both of these men had all their luggage searched or screened. As he put it, they went through the sort of full spectrum of security checks.
We look at the security part of it, and they have gone through the full protocol of the security. That means that they have gone through screening. The baggage has been screened. The cabin baggage has been screened. And to us, that complies fully the protocol of aviation security.
Well, of course, Interpol is saying, well, they haven't been through a full security screening because Interpol has a record that these passports are stolen, and there were no inquiries about these passports coming from Malaysian Airlines before this flight. So, but what it perhaps does indicate here is that the authorities in Malaysia are looking and considering the possibility that these two people were potentially involved in some kind of terrorism activity, and one would have expected them to have been able to see into this baggage. They say they've screened it and see if there was any bomb-making material there. The authorities are not making any kind of link with terrorism right now. Could be another kind of criminal activity that they might have, these men using the stolen passports might have been transporting drugs, might just be some kind of immigration fraud that they were perpetrating. It's not clear, but it seems likely that the authorities have a better idea of the nationality of these men than they're actually letting on to us at the moment. Sarah?
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say, as you just pointed out, there also have been no credible reports of people who have claimed responsibility for this. So I think everyone's still sort of waiting and watching to see what happened here, and there's just too many questions and not enough answers. Thank you so much, Nick Robertson, live there from